All right, so welcome to the Tuesday, November 7th, 2023 Pembroke School Committee meeting. Would you all stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. And welcome, everybody. Got a nice crowd tonight, which is, I mean, we don't even have room at the table, so it's kind of nice. And, you know, just to let everybody know, if anybody would like to speak, we do have the public comment at the beginning of the meeting, so if anybody has anything general they'd like to say, they are welcome to do so now. If not, you can sign in after the fact. And, all right, so on to...
Mark, are you signing in?
I know.
Mark has something to say.
All right.
I think we're in trouble.
Breaking the ice here. I like it.
I'm going to get detention.
All right, so I'm going to let you
Sure.
do the...
So when we met back in the end of August, we talked a little bit about what could we do to bring some students and some staff here to celebrate some of the amazing accomplishments that we have going on across the district. So I am happy to announce that we have both students and staff here tonight for that honor. As Mary Beth alluded to during her achievement report a few meetings back, Pembroke High School has 3 commended scholars in the National Merit Scholarship Program. So what that means is out of 1.3 million test takers, these students scored in the top 2.5% or so. As you can imagine, when you look at these students in our student information system, there's just lots of A-pluses across the board, huge amounts of rigor in the course loads that they're taking. Every student here tonight is taking 4 AP courses this year and has taken at least 4 in addition to that in their previous years at Pembroke High School. So I would like to congratulate our 3 National Merit Commended Scholars. The first one is Emma Gerlach. Next is Joseph D'Angelo. And our third scholar is Kevin Murphy. I'm going to take a picture of you with them, Sue. Do you all want to get in a photo?
No, it's usually the chair that does these things for us.
You need a wide-angle lens, Patrick and I.
Speak for yourself.
Do any of you guys want to share what your plans are for after high school?
Yes, I would love to hear. I mean, it's an amazing accomplishment, so, you know, we're actually very proud of all 3 of you. I mean, it's unbelievable that, it's an unbelievable accomplishment. So I would love to hear what you're doing after. Do you have plans? Let's start.
Somebody has to be first.
Somebody has to be first. Who's going? Come on
you
up to
pass
the
the
mic.
test, one of you guys
All
gotta know
3 of you
this.
come up to the mic and give
Just
us
come together, yeah.
all 3 of you come up together to the mic so that we can get it on. All right. So who wants to start?
I'm planning to go to college.
Yes.
All right.
That's what
How
we like
how
to
many
hear.
how
I
many
like
schools?
it.
How many schools did you apply?
I have applied to 2 schools so far, and I'm going to probably do another like 10 in the winter.
Nice. Great job. Congratulations.
Outstanding.
All right.
I want to go to WPI.
Oh, WPI is a great school. That's excellent. So how many schools total are you applying?
Like 10 maybe, I don't know.
10? Yeah. Very good.
What do you want to study?
Computer science.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Excellent. Excellent. Not surprised.
I'd also like to go to college.
No surprise.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Do you have
We
a
want
pref-
that for you too, Emma. We do.
I mean, do you have a school preference right now?
I'd love to go to BU. But,
Oh, it's a
yeah.
great school.
As a Northeastern grad, you're killing me, but okay.
Have you done early action or early?
Yeah, 4 early action
Oh, good for you.
applications.
Nice.
Yeah. Mhm.
Great job. Well, congratulations to all 3 of you. and
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Next, we have 2 staff members here. So we have 2 staff that were awarded Mass Q awards this year. So Mass Q, I'm not even going to do it justice, Brandon, I'm sure, is an organization for technology in the district. We have Mike Tinker. So Mike Tinker received the Mass Q Pathfinders Award, and that is awarded to an educator whose efforts have enhanced the field of educational technology. So you all have seen Mr. Tinker here before. He joined us here in Pembroke in 2021, and I think I speak for all of us when I say I can't even remember what life was like before he got here. And he has become invaluable for myself, for Mary Beth, for Jess, for the staff, for the students. Every kid loves Mr. Tinker. We are so thankful to have you here and want to congratulate you on your Pathfinder Award.
Yes.
And a second, what college are you going to go to, Mike?
Yeah.
Have you filled out any applications? We want you to go to. A second category of awards that MassQ gives out is the Shelley Chamberlain Community Service Award. So this award is given to educators who have strong interpersonal leadership skills, emphasize others over themselves, and impact their school or community throughout their vision and work. We are so fortunate to have Mr. Hall here in Pembroke. So Brandon, as you know, has been with us for several years in a few different capacities, but I think he really has hit his sweet spot as our Director of Instructional Technology. Outside of all of the work that he does for us here in Pembroke, he continually gives back to his colleagues and other technology staff in the district. He hosts a podcast called Get a Q. Yes, got it right. Which gives educators a platform to talk about the changes of technology and how it's working in the classroom. We are forever grateful for you to be here, and we want you to go to college too, Brandon. Sharon will kill me if I don't.
Maybe we could get a speech or something, too.
I just want to say we are so lucky to have you at Pembroke, and thank you so much for everything you do. We are, our district is better for it, as evidenced by the amazing kids that we were just giving awards to. So thank you so much.
So whenever we recognize folks at the beginning of the meeting, I always say the content of the meeting is riveting, and we would love it if you wanted to stay, but you do not have to stay. So here's your opportunity to leave. I know you all have homework to do, and you all have classes early in the morning, so feel free. Yeah, starts at 6:30. You have plenty of time.
Awesome.
So this is our first installment. I think we talked about trying to do it at one of the meetings each month.
Yes.
We have another amazing educator, Mr. Shapiro, is receiving his award tonight as the Massachusetts Science Teacher of the Year.
Oh, wow.
So we'll be able to have him come in and
I mean,
extend.
how lucky are we to have? So, okay, any adjustments to the agenda?
Nope.
All right. The warrants are being circulated. Consideration for approval, school committee meeting minutes of October 24th.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
And so it's unanimous. And then on to superintendent's report.
Sure. So the first thing under my report is an overview of the Second Steps program. So in looking at the initiatives that we had talked about through the budget cycle last year, this is one of the last ones that we haven't really shared with you all. So we are joined tonight by 3 educators from Habermock, Ms. Julie Morris, Ms. Jen Coulter, and Ms. Christine Bellevue. They are going to share a little bit about what the program looks like in the classroom, but I think Mr. Murphy's going to kick it off with an overview just of what Second Steps is.
And I will be brief because I know that our teachers are really excited to teach you tonight, so get ready. I hope you did your homework. So here we go. Just a little bit about Second Step. I know you've asked about it before. It is something that is being implemented right now at all 3 elementary schools with fidelity. So we've worked really, really hard on a lot of training with staff, and I appreciate the support of the other building principals here as well. So why are we doing this work right now? It's really for kids to really understand and manage their own emotions. And, you know, we see a lot of stuff from day to day, whether it's in the cafeteria, out at recess, and we have opportunities to help kids kind of learn through those interpersonal relationships. So a lot of the work that we're doing in this program is about setting and achieving goals, personal goals for kids, and having and showing empathy for others, as well as kind of creating that positive relationship amongst everybody. So a little bit you'll learn in just a moment is how we go about doing that. And we're going to actually do a sample lesson for you. So the teachers have been busy preparing a sample lesson to share with you as well. So how do we get here? How do we settle on second step? All of last year, we had our mental health staff, which consists of our building school psychologists as well as our school social workers, which we have funded over the past many years, have got together and we really trialed a lot of different programs. I put 5 up here, the ones we looked at. And what we found out was second step was really kind of the best package for Pembroke. So why do I say that? It's because it's a K through 5 product, and don't get upset yet, because there is a grade 6 to 8 option, which we have also purchased as well. So it is a K through 5 product with a 6 to 8 option, and then it has its own separate preschool curriculum, which many, many did not. So because we have the preschool here in Pembroke, we elected with this component as well. It's very user-friendly, and I think the teachers will attest to this. The log-on is simple. The kids are engaged in it. You'll see a lot of just fun types of activities for the kids to be able to do. There's some built-in extension activities for those kids that are mastering those skills. They can take it to the next step. And then we also elected to purchase the additional bullying prevention program through the Student Services Office. They were gracious to be able to provide some support around that as well. So that's why we did it. And what does it look like? There are 20 lessons over the course of the year, and the teaching time is about 15 to 30 minutes. And includes songs and videos and handouts, discussions, just a lot of hands-on type of learning. So the way we happen to be doing it at Hobbamock is we're doing it by grade level. So our grade levels are getting together and they're showing these videos and these activities in our LIR or their LGI, whatever building you're in. And the other 2 buildings I think are a combination of what we're doing. Some grade levels are doing it together, and other ones are doing it specific classrooms. So we'll find out in just a moment what that looks like. But those concepts that we're covering, there are 4 units. Growth in mindset and goal setting is unit number 1. Emotional management for unit number 2. Empathy and kindness for 3. And problem solving for unit 4. And then I talked about the anti-bullying piece as kind of a 5th add-on as well. So that's what we're doing right now. We are still in unit 1. We're almost in unit 2 right now. We're actually moving through the program pretty quickly. So I envision us doing some of those extension activities as well this year. So with that being said, I'd love to introduce the staff again and have them come on up and do a lesson. But before we do, I didn't know if you had any overarching questions about the program. You're just ready to go, huh? You should see them in the classroom. Any questions about the program?
I know my kids like it. So
Oh, good.
Things that they can come out.
Perfect. Okay, great. I'll invite the staff to come up, and we are representative of grades 2, 3, and 4 tonight. So Julie's in grade 3, Jen's in grade, Julie's in grade 2, Jen's in grade 3, and Christine's in grade 4. So, awesome. You'd like to log in?
We're all set. We just need to ship.
Yep, you can plug in.
So we're going to show a grade 3 because it's in the middle of a but that's great.
Says the grade 3 teacher.
That's the grade 3 teacher. So we're actually in unit 2 of the program, emotion management. So like Michael said, unit 1 was planning, so it was like setting goals and things like that. And now it's getting more into the feelings component.
So all 3 of us, all of our grade levels have to be in unit 2 right now. I believe that 2nd grade is at the end, we're grade in the middle, and 3rd grade is grade.
So we do, in 3rd grade, we do it all together. In my classroom, I have a larger classroom in the school. So all 3 grades come in. Some are on the rug, some are in the seats, some are scattered with flexible seating around the room. But we mix them up, so not only are they just talking with the students in their class, but they're also talking with all of the students in their grade level as well. And we find it beneficial because they're all getting the same message in the same way at the same time. So they're we're all using that same common language throughout.
And we're doing the same in fourth grade, so all three classrooms will get together. And I think it's advantageous, so they have different people that they're paired with to share in their grade level, so it's not just their classmates.
And in second grade, we do it the same. We meet in LAF, but all three classrooms come together once a week.
So we will get into.
So the objective of tonight's lesson that you are all going to participate in. So the students will be able to give an example of information that emotions give them. Okay, so this is where we start. So we're gonna warm up our brains. You're gonna be third graders right now. Okay, so we're gonna warm up our brains with. Wowza. Okay.
So it doesn't amplify in the room, it's only for people at home to be able to pick up the audio.
All right, let's warm up our brains with a brain builder. Level 1 of Word versus Color Challenge.
So they do this all together, all the students.
It's time to build your brain. Today you'll play level 1 of a game called Word versus Color Challenge. In a moment, you'll see a series of words. They'll come on screen one at a time. Each time you see a word, read it out loud.
Blue.
Black.
Pink.
Purple.
Orange.
Now I'm going to ask you to do something different. This time when you see the words, I want you to say the color of the letters in the word out loud. Don't read the word. Say the color it's written in. Here's an example. If you see this, you
Green.
should say green. It's time to try it.
Overachiever.
Black.
Black.
Pink. Purple. Blue. Orange.
That was a great brain workout.
Some of them are movement based where they have to like hit and sort. It's wild. They really get into it.
So in the next few lessons,
In the next few lessons, we're going to learn about emotions. Emotion is another word for feeling. Yeah. 100,000 years ago, a caveman named Rocco was walking home when all of a sudden something happened. Look at this picture. What's going on?
so we want you to turn and talk to each other and discuss what's going on, what you see. Go ahead, third graders.
He's definitely scared. Yeah. Of that.
Going through the woods of Pembroke.
Yeah.
3,
2, 1. Anyone want to share?
I would say that Rocco's scared.
And any thoughts as to what is scaring him? Why do you think he feels scared?
He doesn't want to be lunched.
So Rocco is being chased. How do you think Rocco is feeling? We've already answered.
Scared.
We're
Scared.
very
Any other emotions?
Slow. He's gonna get caught.
Well, slow's not really an emotion.
No.
Slow is really a speed.
Okay.
So we're talking about how we would feel.
Desperate.
Okay.
So Rocco's feeling scared. What might happen if Rocco didn't feel scared?
Turn and talk with your partner.
He would not be running. He
What if
would
it
be
is a
eating.
Keep the oysters rocking.
Those are like two really big front teeth.
Anyone want to share their thoughts? What might happen if he didn't feel scared?
He
wouldn't
wouldn't
run.
He may not run.
He wouldn't run. It might happen to him.
Might get
He'd be
eaten.
lunch.
He'd be eaten. Yes, feeling scared tells him he might be in danger. His emotion gives him information. None of us are getting chased like Rocco. He's really in danger. He's feeling scared but feeling scared can tell you the same thing. Something might hurt you or be dangerous. Now, some people are scared of snakes. Let's say you're walking through the grass when suddenly a snake appears. Thumbs up if you'd feel scared. Some strong emotions. Feeling scared tells us there might be danger. It's true, some snakes can hurt people, but many are harmless. We can feel scared even if danger is unlikely to happen. Now it's your turn to think about a time you felt scared. How did feeling scared tell you about a danger? Talk to your partner.
This is
Tough one.
Every day. Thunder, lightning. Fair enough.
Melanie fell out of bed.
Oh, goodness.
No. Never did again.
I got stuck in a frozen pond around the same
So a lot of times, kids will focus on just like the animal part, that's what I will get them, like, I'm scared of spiders, I'm scared of this, so we have to kind of bring it back, what other things make us scared, so then sometimes amusement park rides, or hikes, or things like that, and then it gets deeper into more of, like, I was lost, if I was lost in a store, so it is like building those layers of not just, you know,
Being afraid of snakes. I mean, it's really teaching them that there is a purpose in life to having emotions and to having feelings.
So if you are, lost in a store from your parents, you would react in a certain way because you are feeling scared. So that would trigger you to go get help. That's the point of it.
In this lesson, we'll walk them through other emotions too, so that they realize that emotions are just part of us, from sad to excited. And they'll often present pictures. There's a dialogue that we read or a narrative for the children to reflect on. And then they make that connection between what the story is in themselves, or a friend's experience, or a family member's experience, and talk it out as a whole group.
this was sad, the dog,
This one was...
this was happy, going on a field trip with your best friend.
Yeah, the dog ran away. That's why the child was feeling sad. And then there's often a follow-up lesson. Ours from last week was disappointment, the second grade. Talking about a time when you felt the emotion of disappointment and how you dealt with it. And what can you do? And that's a big piece of it, is not only naming the emotion and what might be the cause of it, but how do we handle these emotions? And one thing that I've noticed this year, I think I shared it with you, Mr. Murphy, I invite the parents to write me a letter at the beginning of every year to tell me about their child so I can get to know them, because parents know best. This year, I had the highest percentage of letters that came back to say that my child has big emotions, or my child is feeling anxious, and the highest number I've ever experienced, and I would imagine at the building level that you are noticing the same. So it's really important for them to have the opportunity to talk out what emotions mean and how we can kind of regulate. But as we do at our school too, this is one piece. So in second grade, we did this on Thursday afternoon, but social emotional learning is interwoven in our curriculum all day, every day, between responsive classroom, social thinking skills and social thinking lessons, whether it be morning meeting or exchanging iMessages after a rough recess, whatever it might be. This is excellent, and it's a great program to incorporate in it. That way it's formal, but also it's a piece of the puzzle.
And I could tell you that in fourth grade at the highest level, like of this unit, well, fifth grade is, but there's only for fifth grade here. So what we're talking about with this
emotion unit and dealing with emotions, is balancing having like your logic, and I want to say they call it your emotions be balanced. For example, this week we do it on Monday mornings, and there was a little girl who FaceTimes her sister who was at college. She missed a goal at a soccer game, and she was like, I'm never playing soccer again. I am quitting. I hate soccer. My whole team hates me. That's it. And, you know, they go through the process of, okay, so what is really happening here? So kind of going back to like, what is your logic telling you? Does your whole team really hate you? Is it really your fault that your whole team lost? You love soccer. And yes, you may be feeling this big emotion right now, but you also have to remember to balance it with your logic center. I believe that's the term that they use. And also what came out of that, because there's a lot that you can do with these lessons just by using the material that you have. What came out of that was we were talking about there's a lot of times that we feel big emotions. And one of the things that the girl did in the video is that she reached out to someone and she spoke about it with them. So a lot of times, you know, if you talk through your emotions, talk through how you're feeling, that, you know, that person may guide you, and even just like getting it out there, it helps you to see the more logical side and make better decisions.
And there are children, you know, who do have bigger emotions than others. So, you know, supporting them in different ways. Like Julie said, we do follow up with morning meeting. A lot of the times I play brain pop videos or other videos that support these ideas. And a lot of teachers have areas in their classroom, like I have a calm corner where they can draw, they can read, they can play with fidgets, and it's kind of learning like I need a break, I need a safe spot, and getting those kids to actually advocate for that and announce that and tell, rather than, you know, yelling, screaming, being unsafe, or eloping from a classroom. We want them to be able to manage these emotions, even if they just need a few minutes to regulate, and then we can kind of work backwards and then think, well, why did this happen? Like, what choices can we make? What would be a better choice for that?
And our brain breaks might be very physically engaging. That was a silver lining of COVID, that there's a lot of excellent videos online. One of our favorites is Coach Courtney Martin. There's another one, Phonics Man, and they're more like calisthenic. Or when we need to come down, we do yoga or meditation or visualization, but it's all just building those tools for their toolbox. So wherever they go, that they have some great strategies in place.
Any questions for us?
Go ahead. Mike, did you have a question?
You can go ahead first. I'm trying to formulate.
No, that's okay. First, I'm super impressed. I think this is awesome that you guys are doing this and, you know, helping kids kind of figure out what does it even mean when this happens, when this bubbles up, right? When that feeling happens. How long have we been doing this?
This particular
This program.
Just this year.
This
Oh,
is
so
brand-
this is
yeah,
new.
This
This
is
is
brand
brand
new.
new.
When I
Okay.
first started 18 years ago, there was a second
Yeah.
step program, but it was very different. It was like holding up these like, big cards and having them like role play and do different things, which wasn't as effective, it seems.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, would you be able to step up to the?
Sorry. Yes, so this program, yes, we just started, but before, years ago, they did have a second step, but this has all been brand new. So now it's more formalized where we all are doing it, but a lot of the time, teachers are doing different strategies in their classroom all the time through videos and activities and other types of things.
And responsive classroom and social thinking language is something that we've been doing for years.
Yeah.
This is just sort of in addition to that. It's sort of more formal.
Was the professional development or the training that you guys did for this specific program, was there anything around being able to identify kids who may have greater needs because of what you're hearing with this? Maybe, you know, kids who may need additional services, sort of those types of things, or do you think that wouldn't come from this type of curriculum?
I think that probably comes from good teaching,
Yeah, fair
to be
enough.
honest.
It could be fair enough,
You know, being engaged with your students and being aware of who they are. I don't think I really need, I don't mean to downplay your question.
no.
I don't personally do not think I need a program to help me do that.
Yeah.
I think that's just good teaching practices. I think that throughout the district, we're very aware of our students that require, you know, a higher level of support in, you know, the social emotional area. I can't speak to anything that I remember during the professional development about this, but I can speak to, I think, the way the buildings are run, and we have a lot of good teachers that, I mean, everybody in the district I'm impressed by constantly, and I feel that they are very in tune with their students. And we do have things in place within our building, so if we do have concerns about particular students, we do have channels of support that we go through. It's taken very seriously, and I do believe that our students get what they need.
That's great, thank you.
And Patrick, just to your point, that process that Christine is alluding to is just our student support team. So every building, elementary all the way on up, has a time during the week where we talk about kids' academic needs, but also the social emotional needs in our student support team. And that's how we allocate those resources.
That's great, thank you, guys.
Can you come back to me? I'm trying to think how I want to word the question.
Well, I've seen some of, stuff from home, and I know my third grader, I'm gonna ask her at dinner tonight, what it looks like, what is the lesson? Is that better? So when I asked my third grader what the lesson would look like, this was pretty close to that. She said that we have to work together and talk to each other, and then have the same answer was kind of the way she put it. We disagreed, we have to come up with one answer. I guess the one question I have is, like, the one, I haven't heard as much from my sixth grader yet, but how do, like, very literal kids take this kind of program, like, who, more of the black and white looking at thing? I'm just curious how, I haven't experienced that yet.
I have a student in my classroom who's very black and white, and I find that that particular student actually does very well with this because it's visually supported. So they're seeing, a lot of pictures. Like, if you look at this, we're also almost putting into the lesson, teaching them, like, this is, nonverbal communication, knowing that this child looks this way, this child feels sad or disappointed, this child feels scared. So I think that the visual support of it is very helpful to those students.
Thank you.
I don't know if that answers, but.
Yeah, I'm really glad to see this presentation because I've been trying to get my head around what SEL is and all that since I got on the school committee earlier this year. So it's really, because it's very difficult to find legitimate sources of information on this. It's either companies that are selling SEL or it's the stuff that's in the news and all that. So I'm glad you saw that. I'm glad to see how this is actually practiced. I was actually going to ask for that tonight, so so I'm really happy to see this. How long has, I know you said you've been here for 18 years and you had Second Step program. How long has SEL itself been? When was that incorporated into this, or has it been that whole time? Would you have any idea, or has it just been?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, to varying degrees, it's always been here, to be honest with you. I think that's the answer to your question, and I say that because of the fact that we have been doing professional development over the course of, I've been in the district for, Erin knows this better than I do, 12 years?
Yes, I'm 13 years.
And ever since I've been here, you have added, school psychologist support, school social worker support. But these teachers, what they've been doing is they've been being trained in morning meeting, in responsive classroom, and all those types of programs. So this is just one more step to that, to Julie's point earlier. That I think it's always been here. It's just we're really ramping up right now.
Yeah.
If you have any children in the district too, you might hear some of our language, like parents will sometimes comment to me at conference time, oh, I heard my daughter say this or that. We'll use terms like green thoughts or yellow thoughts, meaning like expected or unexpected behavior, on task, off task, on group plan, off group plan, necessary, not necessary. And for me, I started teaching almost 30 years ago. Social emotional
learning has been my number one priority always. I learned from my cooperating teacher, I remember she had a big sign on the wall that it said, the more we relax, the more we learn, and that's been my takeaway. If I don't have them relaxed and comfortable and feeling that they can have a voice and there's a community within the room, my teaching's not going to happen. So, like to Christine's point, it's effective teaching.
Mhm.
And I think that, especially at the elementary level, they're very young. And you need to make sure that they feel comfortable. And if they feel
Yeah.
comfortable, they'll thrive. But I always say to parents, the door's always open. So if anybody wants to come in and see a lesson, you're always welcome.
And
I
in
think it's really fun and engaging.
And in addition to these formal lessons, there are extensions that we will use on our own. Chad, do you want me to hit done? We're in your account, right? Did you already teach us? I don't want to. Yeah, I've already. All right, so maybe if I go to the.
What's also nice about this program, it tracks it like Netflix, like when you watch Netflix at home, which ones have I already seen, which ones do I still have to do.
Oh, that's kinda
So
cool.
it's really kind of helpful.
Yeah, Mike, is they're teeing that up. The one thing I will say is, I remember 15 years ago, 14 years ago, we sort of talked about it around this table, right? And then I would say it really, there was a lot of talk about social emotional learning and what that means and what it means for education and what it means in the classroom. And I think it's probably been, and Mary Beth, you can probably opine on this too, but in the last 10 years, it's really taken hold to become the fabric of the classroom and the administrative bodies like this to sort of understand the importance and why it's necessary and why it's there. I think to the point you made earlier, it's always been part of good teaching. We've been, knock on wood, very fortunate to have this type of training and teaching within the classroom. But I think we started talking about it, I'd say 12, 13 years ago in depth.
Mhm. Well, it doesn't look that much different than anything that I did when I was a little kid. It just seems like it's more now like
Well, there's color.
formalized. And there's computers.
It definitely is more engaging now, and it has grown. Like, kids do have big feelings and strong feelings, and there's a lot of different family situations and other stresses in their life. And I think a lot of the time, kind of when I first started, when we did second step, even with Jess and Donna, when they were my administrators, a lot of the time we would look to administration for help, but I think now a lot of these teachers have like the tools within the classroom, that there's not so much outreach, unless of course it's like a very serious or unsafe problem, but with these strategies that kids learn and that we have learned, we can now kind of in-house walk kids through these feelings and situations that are happening without having to always like go find an administrator or something like that.
I think like if you think about it the way Julie mentioned it, it's always been a part of good teaching that students need to feel safe in order to learn. But I think that they've developed a more consistent language around what that means and how to implement it better and how to support better. And that's where a lot of the SEL recommendations come from. Right now, they're able to look at a big body of data and say, wow, this school's done really well. What were they doing? Well, here are some of the things they had in this model school. And those best practices have now been translated into a lot of different programs. And people do have a consistent language for how we speak to students. And it is fun when you hear the students mirror it back to you. I'm laughing because I've been in Julie's room a number of times, and that's unexpected.
Yeah, we
There is a
definitely
really-
say unexpected, like it's giving me a yellow thought. And they know what we're talking about. This is kind of nice that this comes with the program. I mean, I've been doing this, I think many of the teachers in my building, and I'm sure across the district, I can't speak to the other schools, but we have been doing, mindfulness activities and yoga and incorporating that. I like that it gives us these tools as well. I have a very spirited class this year, so this has been really helpful for me. Sometimes I'm like, okay, let's check out one of these. This sounds really calming, right? No, it gets calming.
Hello, welcome to Mind Yeti. Today, you're going to practice a special kind of breathing that can help calm your body and your mind.
So you could I'm not going to play the whole thing, but.
Let's try it again. Smell the soup. blow gently to cool it down.
So it's just some breathing exercises.
Let's do it one more time.
It's all sorts of, mindfulness, breathing, calming tools. I love that that's built in. Oftentimes,
Especially in the spirit of class.
maybe.
I like that term.
Big feelings, big
Spirit
feelings.
Yeah, so, but it's nice that it's in one spot. Oftentimes, I was, going, on YouTube or here or there, and a lot of times on YouTube, you're waiting for the commercial to play, before you get to your video that you want to do with them, or you're trying to teach them, on your own. So I think that this has been helpful. This has been a very helpful part of the program for me, that it does add these bonus videos. And what's nice in our building is that on Fridays, I actually don't know if is it Friday for every grade level? Our specialist teachers get together and they see the grade level together instead of them going to like art, PE, library, whatever it is. They get all the kids together and they do the extension activities with them. I believe the other buildings are doing that as well from the conversations that we've had in some of our days together.
So in some of these exercises, a lot of it is obviously about the kids self-managing so that they're not having massive temper tantrums, or that they can recognize and stop it if they are having.
Honestly, I wouldn't say
or
it's
something like that,
necessarily about like massive temper tantrums. I have 3 children. I know that sometimes in the morning it's very busy in my household. There might be yelling. So maybe my daughter might go to school a little wound up in the morning and she's not really having a temper tantrum, but in her mind she might be, thinking about these other things. And some of these exercises kind of just can bring the kids back to where we are in the classroom, and it helps them to just calm their body, focus, and be able to engage in the lessons.
And empathy was something else, I think, right? So is that where the lesson you were just showing with the snake and then the kid getting chased by the saber-tooth and asking like what kind of emotions might they be feeling, is that sort of a way for the kids to see what someone else could be feeling, like recognize if their friend is not 100% that day, or is that what the purpose of that?
It will build upon that, recognizing your own emotions, recognizing how others are feeling, and then the last unit is the problem solving. So what if we're feeling different things at the same time, and sort of how do we manage that? Which is great because we spend a lot of time after recess trying to investigate problems that have happened during recess. So, having these tools, having these ideas, they can self-manage and work through those problems without having to always run to an adult to intervene if it's not an unsafe or harmful situation.
Yeah, and I've even heard kids in my classroom saying to each other, like, I do not like that, will you please stop? Or, that's upsetting me, or, ooh, that kind of hurt my feelings. So it gives them a way to just respond with their peers in a respectful way. Mr. Boyle, would you like to ask a question?
No, I'm taking this all in, and I hate to say, kind of being the older statesman of the group, this is so far from anything I've ever come from. I'm used
Well,
to...
your generation had no emotions.
He still has no emotion.
No, I guess my thing to me is, what do we do? I'm kind of a results-oriented person, and I say to myself, okay, after we go through this whole thing, how do we kind of measure, say, this is working? Do our incidents go down? And I'm going to say this respectfully, it sounds like you're all very well-seasoned teachers. I'm sure we have some that might only be 1, 2, 3 years in. You'll see the signs. Only Mr. Murphy will see the signs. Someone who's only in their first or second year might be going, what do I do? Where's this kind of... So, again, my head's kind of going 4 or 5 different ways, so I hope I'm not looking like I'm crazy. But
I equate it to...
I actually wanted to go on Dave's question, too, because when I was reading up on this, just the claims like that you had mentioned that you have data, which Dave has asked about data as well. The claims of how effective it is were just kind of pretty far out there. Like I think there was one thing I saw said a cut down on bullying like 71% or something crazy like that. And is that accurate? I don't know. It's just it just seems that some of the claims were to me seem to be kind of outrageous.
I just think this is like
about
one tool in our toolkit, and Julie was speaking to that. I think our whole approach and how we work with kids has a direct impact on what we're seeing in day-to-day within the classrooms and at recess. Yeah.
And I think that today's generation, as one of the teachers commented, stressors are great in lives of children, and their stresses are far different, I have to say, from when I was a child in school, and things were a lot simpler. A big piece of it to me, I feel like, is technology, in terms of changing their thinking, their rationalizing, their reasoning, their interpersonal skills, their ability to function in an unstructured manner. Our kids, how often do we see big throngs of children out playing in neighborhoods? They're highly scheduled, and they're often led by adults in a lot of things. So these tools, I feel, I can feel like I have seen tremendous growth every year over my course of 180 days. In second grade, they come in so young, and they're leaving as third graders. It's transformative in terms of their emotional growth and development that year. And if we can give them the language that's a common language, whether it be second step in a combination of social thinking skills and responsive classroom ideals, but if we can give them these tools, bottom line, to have stronger interpersonal skills, to be confident, to be competent members of a community, it carries over whether it's in the workplace or in the classroom or in a team, but also to be able to feel that we use something called iMessages. I feel blank because blank. So if there's a problem, I'll say, unless it's somebody was hurt you physically or emotionally and you don't feel that you have the comfort level to use your voice. If it's physical, you need to report it to me immediately. If it's emotional and if you still don't feel comfortable using your voice, come see an adult. But if you can self-advocate and give that I message and then the other child is supposed, it's pretty scripted initially, the other child is supposed to respond. If say, Jen stole my pencil, I feel upset because you stole my pencil. She's supposed to respond with, I understand that you feel upset because, and like I said, it's quite scripted initially, and then she takes responsibility. I am sorry for, and then says what she'll do differently next time. How can she solve the problem? It's a lot of work. There's a lot of front loading that goes on in the classroom, but I would hope that parents see the growth. I would hope that school administrators see the growth. I hope that when they go off into the community that they're positive members of the town of Pembroke and beyond. I do think that these kids do need the foundation of these skills taught.
And earlier this year in my classroom, I teach fourth grade, I saw the most lovely argument I've ever witnessed in my life between two of my boys. It was so calm. It was so respectful. He was like, well, then you blocked me on Fortnite. Well, then you didn't ask me to play soccer. Well, that made me feel sad when you blocked me on Fortnite, so then I didn't ask you to play soccer. And it was like they were actually able to speak with each other and have a back and forth. Nobody's voice was elevated. So I definitely see results of putting in the work to the social emotional, and also there is a lot coming at our students right now. Yes, parents are amazing. Having 3 kids myself, maybe they're exposed to technology more than I'd like to admit. And I'm finding that the stressors that are coming at them and the things that they're hearing, sometimes we do need to say, okay, it may be appropriate for the YouTuber that you're watching to do or say this, but this is, real life, and, you can't actually say that to somebody. You can't actually make a mom joke at the lunch table without someone crying, because they see people doing this, and there's a lot more exposure to things that we weren't exposed to when we were younger.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of adults that really need this training.
Yeah, 100%.
Play before town meeting. But I am interested, I mean, it's amazing because you deal with so much in the classroom. You have, I'm sure each of you has had every range of emotion from these kids, and it's a lot to deal with. So being able to name the emotion and I mean, it's got to be amazing to see the progress from the kids going forward. But I am wondering, like, do we know, like, other districts that have tried this in the past, and did they like, speaking to their point about the data?
I can speak to that, actually.
Yeah.
I was going to respond to Dave's question. It didn't take, we did it in Kingston, and it was the same exact program. And unsolicited, teachers came to me halfway through the year and said, Mike, we've seen a reduction in behaviors in our classroom because of the second step program, because you're working on relationship building, you're working on perspective taking. So you don't have to wait 1 or 2 or 3 years. You're going to see it like they saw it, probably 6 months in.
Also, you have to remember that, you know, there is data to support these programs. I'm just not the researcher. So I can't really provide you with the statistics off the top of my head, but there is data to support it. It would just, you know, we would just need to give you that data from somewhere else and not
And from an administrative
our heads. Yeah.
perspective, the fact that teachers have bought into this program says something to me.
Yeah.
So that's huge, because sometimes we don't take any offense.
Yeah.
We don't, right? And then we come back to the table and we kind of rethink things, right? That's how we work in education. So I would just kind of like leave you with that piece of it. Yeah.
If I could make one ask, and I don't want to put you ladies out by any stretch, I'd love to have you come back at the end of our year, you know, May, June, and I'd love to kind of hear, again, like a 6-month success story, or just sit there and say, hey, we bought into this. And I'm not saying it doesn't work or it does work, but I would just, that feel-good type of thing to me, I'd just love to hear some great results from it, if that's possible. So,
I know Mrs. Rust often comes in, but I'll invite you, even better. Come in and be a mystery reader, and you'll see it in action.
I'd be honored.
Anytime you want. Just send me
Okay.
an email, because I would say, wouldn't you say, and also Don has been in too, and Mike, to see it in action, and to see, and they just kind of look at each other, and either the thumbs up or the thumbs down, like, or yellow, whatever it might be. I think the proof is in the pudding, honestly. David,
And you'll
come
get
in
the
and see it.
cutest thank you notes that you'll want to save for the rest of your life from
Am I allowed to bring
Mrs.
pizza
Morris's
or anything, or is
class.
that?
No food sharing.
After.
But come anytime.
I'll take you up on the offer. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you so
guys.
much.
Thank you all for answering all my
Thanks.
questions, too.
Same exit strategy as the others, you don't have to stay.
See you guys.
Thank you. Next up under my report is for consideration of acceptance, the school improvement plans. So each of the principals has submitted a plan. It's a collaboration with their school council, which is why you see acceptance as opposed to approval. You do not approve the school improvement plans. They are a function of the school council at each of the buildings. You're just acknowledging and accepting them for the current school year. So I know that there's some commonality between some of the plans, and then there's some unique things happening in each of the buildings. If you guys have specific questions, or if you want the principals just to highlight one thing from their plan that they're excited about.
Yeah, I mean, one thing from their plan, that would be good. Sure. Who wants to start?
I don't think I can narrow it down to one thing
Okay.
about which I'm excited.
Try hard.
So I am. The facilities piece is exciting to me. If you're one that enjoys getting involved in facilities and repair and maintenance and supervision of custodial staff. So that's new for me. It's new for I think all the principals to have a bigger role in that. And so that is the portion of the school improvement plan that's, I think, taking a lot of my time on a day-to-day kind of thing. But truth be told, there's a lot of stuff happening under achievement and under social emotional supports that I am excited about. So the vision of the graduate stuff, for instance, that we've talked about at this table for a couple of years now, as we prepare for NEAS accreditation. I'm really happy with the work the staff is doing with that, right? We have the vision of the graduate as a reminder. The question now becomes, how are we going to measure student progress for attaining it, and how do we report out on that progress? And so our staff tomorrow, for instance, for the faculty meeting, I'm giving that over to the staff to continue to look at assessments that they're currently using. We're not creating anything new, stuff you're already using that you think requires the students to utilize the skills that are found in our Vision of the Graduate. And so we are identifying the assessment strategies that will help us measure their progress. And then our next step is to how to best communicate to the parents. And that's the second half of the school year. We're going to focus on that. As you know, the Compass program last year was expanded to include a full-time teacher that allowed us to support a third tier of students. My own personal goal this year, which I've kind of woven into the school improvement plan, is to reduce the number of students that lose credit due to absences by making sure that everyone understands that Tier 3 is available to so many students in so many ways. I went through as well school council this past Thursday. At this point last year, the number of students that were already in jeopardy of losing credit due to absences was double what it is this year, at the end of term 1 this year. So we reduced that by half. Now, we've got a long way to go, but I'm excited about the impact that we've already seen just in one term of work. So those are two things that I'm really excited about in the plan.
That's great. Thank you. Anybody have questions?
I think we should just go this way. Go ahead, Donna.
Good one, go Donna.
Okay. This is on, right? Okay. I wanted to highlight MyCap. So it's this college and career initiative we're doing this year. We did a lot of kind of planning and understanding how getting middle school students to understand the connection between what they're learning in middle school and the skills and how that can then potentially be applied to various different college and career options. I think it's a really important function of the school. So this year we have a schedule. So every month there's at least 1 or 2 lessons throughout the year. So there'll be like 10, by the time a student graduates, 20 lessons probably, if not more, of exposure to a range of different college and career options. So I'm really excited. You did too, so I'm going to just jump into and kind of build a little bit on. You said this year is the first year we have a Compass program, and similar to Mark, I'm already seeing what a huge impact, and really grateful to this committee for that support, because it's just such a great thing to have in the school, and it's been really, really helpful so far for the students.
Question? All right.
They're discussing because Mike always goes first, so it's like, wait, this doesn't seem right here. Do it, Jen, do it.
Well, I don't mind, but I feel like there's a lot of overlap, so if you really want one of them, I'll take a different one.
I have my own stuff, you go ahead.
Whatever. So I think, as you know, we all have social emotional goal, which obviously the implementation of Second Step is a giant part of that. The continuation of our Titan Labs, which piggybacks what Mark and Donna were sharing there. It's called Compass up there, but it's our Titan Lab, which we were able to add last year due to the support. So continuing all of that work is obviously still within the plans. Achievement-wise, each grade level is going to be taking a sort of a metric to hone in on, and one thing that we're doing this year that really ensures that we're cycling back to this work is during our PLC work, professional learning community meetings. Each teacher signed up for either UFly, which I'll talk about in a second, or Second Step or data, so that they can have that meeting time to really delve in to those topics and get the time to take the deep dive that you don't really necessarily get to throughout the day. So our K-2 people especially, our biggest goal is around the UFly program. You had our reading specialists here give you your first lesson within UFly. So really focusing on the implementation of that, doing it with fidelity, making sure we found a rubric that we could look back at the end of the year and sort of just use it as a self-reflection, not an evaluative tool, but a reflection on how we feel we did. So each teacher would just sort of look at it, how do you feel like you adhered to the program? How did you do the duration? And then if we were finding that we didn't, why not? What can we do better next year? What do you need from us to better support you to make sure that we're doing it? Because just like with Second Step and the hope that we're gonna see incidents go down, the data from UFly so far has been really promising. We're seeing great gains in our young literacy learners that have been exposed to the program. So that's really something that we're really excited about, and just being able to organize it and have the time for the teachers to deep dive into their topics so that we can really kind of look at what we're doing well, what we need to fix. We're taking, at the upper grades, we're really looking at the writing for MCAS. The writing just has been a weakness. It's a challenge. We can't really wrap our head around it when we're looking at it, so we're really like taking a look at the grades, taking a look at the questions. What are they seeing? Who's getting what for scores? What can we do better to prepare them? So it's exciting.
Excuse me.
That's great. Questions? All right. Thanks. Moving on. Who's next?
I'll go. I'm obviously excited about the implementation of the Second Step program because I'm seeing how effective it can be. So I'm thrilled that it's been adopted here and that my teachers wholeheartedly have embraced it. And the conversations we have is, this is language that we use in the classroom. These are conversations that we have. These are topics that we bring up. Much like you said, it sounded like what you had when you were a kid. It is. And it's all about developing relationships. And like I said before, developing empathy and perspective taking. But the other thing I'm excited about is when I talked to our school council, they agreed to do a community survey. So this is something that you're asking people to be critical of you. So I applaud them for their willingness to want us to reach out to the community and find out how effective we are, primarily with communication and establishing a welcoming environment. So this is a survey that Erin told me I have to bring to you guys soon too. So
Right, so anytime we survey parents, it needs school committee approval. So, just to kind of highlight the fact that obviously this is Mike's first year here at North, it makes sense for him to be doing a survey even though the other four are not, just to get a pulse of kind of the community and things that he can work on.
unless you have to vote me down.
We'll see what the questions are first.
So I'll just give you an example of what it looks like to the parents. It says the NPES School Council is interested in hearing your views on how effective we are at communicating and engaging with the community. Our goal is to elicit feedback and collect data to ensure the decisions we make as a school truly reflect the needs of our students, families, and community members. Our plan was to try to get them out during one of the conferences, probably in the springtime. Once again, with approval, so. But it's 8 or 9 questions long, and it gives them the opportunity to provide specific feedback to us.
Sounds great. All right.
Hopefully it comes back positive.
Yeah.
Sure it will.
And then at Hobbenlock, just to kind of round things out, and you're going to hear, as you're looking through the documents, there's a lot of commonalities, especially at the elementary school level, because we have new initiatives, we have new curriculum that we're trying out. At grade 6, Open SciEd, we're full into Open SciEd right now, and it's an amazing program that we actually hope to actually bring down to the younger grades soon, once it's available. So those are things we'll be coming back to you again. But one thing that struck me tonight, and actually when we were in our admin meeting with Erin, was just the continuum of services I think we're starting to see, kindergarten, preschool through grade 12. The Titan Lab being one of them, and I know we call it a little bit different things. You really have never seen that before. Now, if you're a preschool, you can go all the way through grade 12 and still have those services available to you, and they look a little bit different by building. So that's one piece I just kind of wanted to focus on. And then the second piece would be my communication goal. And really reaching out to the larger community. And so we've done an awful lot of work on building relationships with the Council of Aging. We've had a lot of those adults come into our buildings, and they do something very simple now. They come in and they read to the kids, right? Who's going to argue with that? But I think what we're looking to bring to the next level, I'd like to invite them into some of our community meetings on a monthly basis for the celebrations that we're doing, so that these people can actually understand, where their tax money has been going for years. Because I think that's an important part of Pembroke. We're too small not to do that, and I think that it's just a nice opportunity, and it's so well received, And I joke because I try to get them to be on the sub list every once in a while, but I haven't had any bites yet. But it's things like that that I'm really hopeful for, and seeing those those commonalities amongst all the buildings.
I love that idea. That's great.
Yeah, I did too. When I was reading through them, that stood out to me, and that was something that I thought it was just fantastic to incorporate some of the people from the Council on Aging, and kind of expose the kids as well to older people, and
Absolutely.
and it's good for both. It's great.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I do have one question, and Mike, like them, I think it's fantastic, bringing folks in from around the community to gain exposure both to the buildings, to the schools, and to your point, I mean, just dollars and cents in understanding where tax dollars go when they don't have children in school and why it's important to the community. I think that's great. I love that you're doing a survey in North Pembroke. I think it's such a good idea. I would actually say it'd be good for all of the schools to do that and gain feedback, every whatever, how many years. I mean, you're not going to do it every year. But I think it gives parents the opportunity to give feedback, assuming it's constructive, and but allow you guys to hear what's on the mind of the parents of your students and what does it look like. And we all kind of think what we're doing is the right thing and is the appropriate thing and what have you, but sometimes you got to ask, is it effective? So I think it's great that you're doing it, and I would actually encourage all 5 schools to do it.
Yeah.
I apologize.
We'll let you be the guinea pig, and we'll see how constructive the feedback
Fine,
is.
yeah.
It's a good beta test, right?
Yeah.
Full disclosure, we struggle at getting responses.
That's true. I can
we
see
have
that too.
advertise it
Yeah.
and QR codes.
Right.
And, like with a building of 600 kids, I had 46 responses.
Yeah,
Which statistically is not
it's not. That's
valid.
right. Yeah, it's not.
To that
Would you-
point, Patrick, we did do it in high school last year, as part of the NEASC self-study, and I opened up the parent portal on 2 different occasions. And after the second one, I think I might have gotten maybe 70 responses out of 720 or so. So I certainly understand your point, for sure. We did it last year, and those 70 responses, we did get some good feedback, without any question.
Yeah.
But it is difficult to get, without a captive audience, it's difficult to get everyone to kind of chime in.
Yeah, the idea of handing them out at conference time, I thought was really smart.
Yeah.
Because you definitely have a captive audience. But, you can make the overture. Now I'm going to look in the camera and say, it's up to you as parents to now reply and to actually give the feedback, right? But I think just making the overture and letting parents know that we're receptive to what's on their mind, I think it's hugely important. And I think it's great that you guys are doing it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Can we accept them as a group, or do we have to do
Yep,
them
we can
individually?
as a group.
So I'll move to accept the 5-school, to accept the 5-school improvement plans as presented.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Okay, thank you very much.
You guys can go.
Thank you.
We should only be here for another 8 minutes, but you can go.
That's fine. So just subcommittee updates. Budget subcommittee met as a joint budget sub with the 2 members of the select board, which were Tracy Marino and John Brown. And then we met again as a subcommittee to talk about some of the financial policies that we had presented for the first week of last time.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Some of the information that came out of the joint budget sub meeting was really accelerating the timeline associated with the budget. I think the plan is to bring you maintenance of effort on Tuesday, November 28th, which is a solid 2 months earlier than we have brought it in the past. Just to set expectations, that'll purely be a maintenance of effort budget, and I will tell you the assumptions that are made for that budget. There's so many unknowns at that time, but at least it gets a number out there and it gets us to start talking, because I think what we heard at the joint budget subcommittee meeting is that the conversation on the town side is going to be difficult this year. And the sooner we can get an idea of what our number is and what we're looking for, just to maintain what we have, the better those conversations can proceed. I don't know if I missed anything.
No, one of the outcomes of that was, I know the town manager was going to share some things with you as far as a budget process that they go through and, a couple of deadline dates, timeline dates that they have. Have you gotten that?
Not yet, no. But
So-
I did email a reminder just this week.
All right. So, I would encourage you to, when you email them again, it'd be awesome if you could email the whole group, because.
Right, as long as you all do not hit reply all.
Right, or do a BC, oh, you can't, because then they
Yeah.
won't see that everybody's.
It's fine.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's great. Anything else we want to say about the budget subcommittee? No?
Yep, we're meeting on November 28th.
Yes.
Budget sub, the joint
The
budget
joint
sub
budget
is the
sub.
29th.
Yeah,
Oh,
oh,
the
it's the
29th,
29th,
sorry.
yeah.
The 29th. Yep. Policy Subcommittee has continued our innovative work on the policy manual. So in your packet, you have section E for a second read and approval, so you took that as a first read last time. Those are support services, so there is just a couple of our policies. So EBAB is a revision just to add the legal reference, and policy EEAG is just a recoding to align with the MASC coding. The other additions there are two new policies, ECAF, security cameras at schools, and EEAG, student transportation in private vehicles. So again, you guys had them at the last meeting as a first read, tonight as a second read and approval.
I do have a question.
Ask away.
On the security camera policy,
Mm-hmm.
it says, it's basically the school committee authorizing the use of cameras. Could we not have cameras without this policy?
No, we can.
Okay.
As long as
That's
it's.
what I thought,
As long
but
as
it's-
that we notice folks. So like on the buses, we've always had cameras
Yeah,
on the buses.
right.
As part of the transportation application, it tells you that there's cameras, the same with, in the high school handbook, so.
I just thought that where the policy is authorizing the use of cameras,
Yeah, no.
I didn't think we don't have to do
No,
that.
no.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve the second read and approval of policy section E, recode, rescind, revise, rescind?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And it's unanimous.
Section F is a short section. We only had two current policies in our manual. Policy Subcommittee is not recommending any changes to those. They are suggesting two new policies, FA, which is Facility Development Goals. I know that in our meeting last week, we talked a little bit about, at the budget submeeting, we talked a little bit about whether or not goals belong in this manual or not. So, and then FCB is Retirement of Facilities. Again, this is just a first read, and you can get your feedback to me before we take them as a second read.
I would reiterate my objection for having goals in a policy group.
Right.
So move to accept section F as a first read.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Okay. So, future meeting dates and topics. We have the maintenance of effort budget on the 28th. We'll go over it here before we have the joint meeting.
That's smart.
And then the quarterly legislative update. So, we had listed that as one of our goals, right? So, how do you, I mean,
Do you want me to reach out to our two reps and our senator, or?
yeah, I mean, if
guys
you could
tell
just
me?
like reach out and get some sort of an update.
Right, we're not looking for them to be here. We're just
Oh, okay, that was my
Just
question.
like,
You want them
yeah,
here?
something that, they they can, any kind of update that they can provide.
When was the last time they were all here?
Oh, a long time.
So I'd actually ask them to come.
We had,
They were here in
Kathy
February.
Sinatra
Right,
and
Josh was
Kathy
out.
Sinatra were
Yeah.
here last year. Josh was unable to make it because he had a health issue
Yeah.
going on at the time. But I think we usually reserve summoning them in person to later in the budget cycle when they have some firm numbers. So there's no way they're going to be able to align their calendars to be here on the 28th.
No, fair, but I do think.
Start scheduling.
I would at least start to try and schedule them
Yep.
to come in person sooner rather than later, because I actually think getting them at the beginning of the budget cycle and getting them at the end of the budget cycle may be very helpful.
that would obviously be ideal, but
Yeah.
it's, difficult to even get them here, so it'd be.
But it shouldn't be difficult.
It
I mean,
shouldn't be,
they're-
no.
They are representing Pembroke.
Right.
And are reaching out as another elected body representing the parents in town is not only appropriate, but it's our duty.
Yeah.
And I think if they can't come, they should have a reason why, and it should be publicly stated that whatever official, can't make the time to come and why they
Right.
can't make the time to come. I'm not saying the 28th, because to your
Right.
point, it's way too soon.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't struggle to do it, but I think if we ask them to come in January or after the first of the year where we're really getting into the budget, I think that's more than enough advance notification for
Yeah,
them.
okay.
At what point generally, if at all, do we share the budget with our local reps? Like, is that it, or is it just when they come? Is that a thing?
We share our budget with them?
Yeah.
No, we talk about it when they're here.
I was just curious,
But
since
we
we'll have a
have-
maintenance of effort
We
budget.
have in the past, I mean, when we had a couple of pretty big items, I met with, at the time, Senate President Murray's office, Dan Webster's office, I'm going back, right? I mean, this is years and years ago. So when there's a pressing need, we generally ask for folks, in this case, David's the legislative liaison, to potentially meet with them and explain it to them. I do find that for the most part, right, the reps are pretty open to, hey, what can I do? When we had Senator DiMacedo was great about sort of saying, hey, what is it that you need, right? And it's usually, I need something specific in order to advocate for you type of thing. But if there's a pressing need, it's not uncommon for one of us, in this case it would be David, to sort of meet and ask the reps. But they should be present to sort of hear our issues, our concerns, sort of that type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so, whatever you can find out, maybe the next meeting.
Yeah, I'll reach out to them.
Do you think we should have some kind of a plan in place for next year to kind of keep in touch or to continue to work with them? As in, like, I feel like they came in here in February, they said, a lot of nice stuff, and then now it's November. And, I mean, that there's been nothing happening. You know what
Well,
I
I
mean?
think we just sent a letter out, didn't we? Didn't we do a letter recently on
That was
something?
a rural school.
That was the join the rural school.
That's really what those updates are supposed to be about, though, right? Like, I'll give you a great example, right? One of the things that we struggled with over the years for a long time was voc ed transportation, right? And we asked representatives at the time to introduce legislation to cover schools for voc ed transportation, right? We asked it again and again and again and again, multiple years in a row. Nothing sort of ever happened, but they did have to come and explain what happened, why wasn't it introduced, what was the issue, that type of thing. We talked about unfunded mandates multiple years in a row. We talked about, the percentage funding of circuit breaker. So the only way to get those updates is to respectfully hold some accountability and ask some of the questions. And I think that's our duty around this table.
Well, yeah, I guess what I'm thinking is just more kind of a communication plan with them. Maybe have like sort of just a scheduled, a group of times each year that we want to reach out to them. And unless there's something major that comes up. Do you know what I mean? Like I know we're saying that we're looking at a quarterly update in November, but I don't really remember getting any kind of update since they were here in February. So maybe like having a quarterly update and kind of sticking to it and seeing, and if they, just to keep the lines of communication
I
open,
think that's
at least a
totally
communication
reasonable.
plan and, like in the SEL second step teaching, build relationships.
No, I think it's good. I think that's a very good idea.
Yeah, we can just ask them if they'd mind giving us some sort of a quarterly, even if it's an email update, just like a.
Yeah.
Do they have a each of them must have some sort of a newsletter that goes out?
Yeah. Usually, they want to tell you all the good stuff they're doing, right? And I don't want to overgeneralize because, it could be that, Senator Moran's got a whole bunch of stuff. And to your point, we just haven't asked, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean,
And
it goes both
just think
ways.
kind of getting that update, even if it's sort of a readout of, these are some of the things that have happened, or candidly not. And it's a good time for us to say, hey, we're struggling, right, with these three or four things that you could really help with. Because again, you think about it, the governor will release her budget in January, right? And then the House will get right into it. Better to kind of get our priorities and our needs to them early so that if there is an opportunity to include it somewhere, it can be included. And if Representative Lenatra or Representative Cutler can do that in the House, and Senator Moran can do that in the Senate, it's a win for us. So there's
Yeah.
no downside.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Right. So, anything else? All right. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.